Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Rabbi Eliezer Malamed, Shalita. As we get closer and closer to Chag HaShavuos, we continue our study with the laws and customs of Shavuos. And today we'll study the laws and customs of reading the Aseret HaDibros, the Ten Commandments, on Shavuos and what that entails. Tiktu Chachamim likro b'Chag HaShavuos b'Parshas Ma'amad Har Sinai v'Aseret HaDibros. The rabbis established that on Shavuos we read what's known as Ma'amad Har Sinai and the Ten Commandments, Umaftirim b'Maseh Merkava Shebetchilas Sefer Yecheskel, and we read the first chapters of Ezekiel, which is known as Maseh Merkava. U'kamo b'chol hachagim, tiknu chachamim laha'alos l'Torah chamisha olim, and just as the Gemara Megillah tells us that on all holidays we call up 5 olim, we have 5 aliyos. Me'ikar adin al pi takanas chachamim motziin sefer Torah acher v'hamaftir hu echad me'chameshes olim. Originally, according to the establishment of the Chachamim, we would take out 1 Torah, and the maftir would be one of the 5. Ela shekatzvu hagaonim shenogen l'hosti shnei sifrei Torah. However, we follow the custom of the Gaonic period, in which we take out 2 Sifrei Torah. Barishon korin chamisha olam kimvur b'Mishnah, and in the first Sefer we read 5 from the first Torah scroll, which again would be the reading from Parshas Yisro, 5 aliyos. Ubasheni korim lamaftir b'Parshas Karbonos Hachag Parshas Pinchas. And in the second Sefer Torah, we read from Pinchas in Bamidbar, which is the Maftir Aliyah. V'hata'am l'zeh, and the reason for this is shemavur b'Talmud, because the Gemara Megillah tells us, Shomar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Bizman she'ein beis hamikdash kayim, tikanti lehem seder karbonos, kol zman shekorim behem. Ma alani aleihem kilo makrivim lefanai karban, u'mochal ani al kol avonosehem. The reason why we read the Seder HaKarbonos, the offerings of the holiday, is that the Gemara says, as long as the Beis HaMikdash is not standing, so if we read the order of the Karbonos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu considers it as if we have actually brought them, and God will forgive us for all our sins. Amr Chachamim, she'akri b'mamad har Sinai b'yom, Chag HaShavuos chashuva b'miyuchad. Sages tell us that the reading of the Ten Commandments on Shavuos is extremely important. Amr HaKadosh Baruch Hu leYisrael, Bonai, hayu karnes haparsha hazos b'chol shana, v'ani ma'ale eschem, ki'ilu she'atem omnim lefanai, lifnei har Sinai, mekablen es haTorah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to the Jewish people, my children, if you read this parsha each year, I will consider it as if you are standing in front of Har Sinai and accepting the Torah. V'kivan shekach, and since this is so, noagu likras aseret hadibros shebechag HaShavuos b'tam elyon. And therefore, since this is the special, unique reading that we have on Shavuos, so we have a special trup, as we know, the Tam Mehamikro, it's called Tam Elyon. What does that mean? Kolomar, b'kriya lefi hatamim haragilim shekosuvim b'chumashim, chalukas neginas hakriya lefi hapesukim. The normal trup that we would find in the Chumash is broken up according to the verses. Uvetam Elya chalukas hanegina lefi hamitzos. However, what's known as Tam Elyon, we usually find it in the back of the Chumashim, we find it in the Machzer that we have, that's how it's already established. But that has the Aseret HaDibros broken up by mitzvah, not by pasuk. L'mashal, for example, Dibur Zachor, Mechuluk la'arba'a psukim. Of the 10 Aseret HaDibros, so let's say Zachor es Yom HaShabbos, remember the Sabbath, that's 4 verses. Uvetam Elyon hu nikra kepasuk echad aruch. However, in the Tam Elyon, it's 1 long verse. L'umazos arba diburim, and in the same vein, the 4 of the Aseret HaDibros, lo tirtzach, lo tinaf, lo tignov, lo saneh b'recha et shakar, those 4, thou shalt not murder, etc., nikroim b'tamim haragilim b'kapasuk echad. In the regular trup, it appears as 1 verse. Ve'ilu lefi Tam Elyon heim nikroim ka'arba'a psukim. However, when we read Tam Elyon, they are 4 separate and distinct psukim, and we know lo tirtzach, lo tinaf, etc. Chaluka shona zu mishpia kimat al kol hatamim, at shnikba menegina shoneh b'mikzas l'kriyas b'tam elyon. Not only that, but the difference is so distinct that some people actually have somewhat of a different tune. L'chol hadeos korin b'chag HaShavuos aseret hadibros b'tam elyon, and according to all opinions, we read the Tam Elyon on Shavuos. Ulam l'gabe kriyas aseret hadibros b'seder parashas HaShavua nechlaku haminhagim. However, when we read it as part of the regular Torah cycle, let's say in Parshas Yisro, when we read that in the winter, or Parshas V'eschanan, when we read it after Tisha B'Av, there are different customs. V'kayom nogin b'chol kriyas b'tzibur l'kriyas aseret dibros b'tam elyon. However, most people will read it no matter what time of year, whether it's Shavuos, whether it's Yisrael, whether it's V'eschanan in Tam Elyon. Rabim nogin la'amod be'ez kriyas aseret dibros. There are those, many of those, I'm sure this is something we're all familiar with, that have the custom of standing during the reading of the Ten Commandments. Why? Zecher l'ma'amad hanichbad v'hanora. This is in commemoration and memory and recognition of that great moment, that awesome, fear-filled moment. Shekol hashameas aseret hadibros b'tzibur ki'ilu mekabel Peninei hashchina. Because anyone who listens to the aseret hadibros, to the Ten Commandments in a congregation, it's as if he is accepting the presence of the Shekhinah, the divine presence itself. Almost like we would say is a recreation of Har Sinai. Minhag zeh nizkar l'rishona b'tekufas harishonim lifnei k'shmona me'ot shana. This custom is mentioned nearly 800 years ago in the period of the Rishonim. Ulam rak b'tekufas hacharonim nasa revach b'rov kehilas Yisrael. However, it was not widely accepted until later on in the period of the Acharonim. Kach nogen kol Ashkenazim v'chelik ma'asephardim. All of Ashkenaz virtually follows this custom. We stand, in our synagogue, we stand for the Aseret HaDibros, and I'll explain our practice in a moment, and some Sephardic. V'yesh shepikvuk ala minhag. There are those, however, who have perhaps objected to this custom or have doubts about this custom. Why? Because the Gemara and Brachos and Daf Yud Beis tell us shenimnu chachamim likvoas kriyas Aseret HaDibros yachad in Kriyas Shema kedei sheliyitu achar aminem shetornim she'efshar listapek b'shmiras Aseret HaDibros. The Gemara says that the reason why we didn't want to establish Aseret HaDibros as part of the Ten Commandments as part of, let's say, davening together with Kriyas Shema, because we don't want to follow those apikarsim that perhaps would cast doubt on the following of these Ten Commandments. Ulam ladas rov haposkim ein bezeh shum taina. However, most people say that that's not a concern. Shekain gam b'maimed Har Sinai amdu, because in the actual occurrence of Har Sinai, when the Torah was given, they stood. V'rakriya yom yomis b'aseret hadibros alul legram daltos. And maybe the problem might come if you read the aseret hadibros as laning every single day, like we would do Kriyas Shema. But if we do it only a few times a year, Benusaf lakach haminim shetonim she'in tzorach lishmar shar hamitzvos einam mitzuyim benenu. He says also we don't really have these sort of old-time apokarsim that would tell us that we don't have to follow the mitzvahs today. He quotes actually in the note the sheet of the Rambam, which is basically what we follow. I'll tell it to you in a nutshell. Another concern is that we don't want people to think that this Torah reading is more important than other parts of the Torah. So to obviate that practice or that concern, so we ask people to rise, whether it's Parshas Yisro, whether it's Shavuos, or whether it's V'eschanan. I always make mention, I ask people to rise at the beginning of the Aliyah. They should stand for the entire Aliyah and not just for the Ten Commandments. However, certainly it's a highlight, it's an important part of the Torah reading on Shavuos. And we don't have it mentioned here, but also our custom is to read the piyut of Akdamos, the line-by-line poetic liturgy lauding the beauty of the giving of the Torah, which we have after we call up the Kohen Aliyah on the first day. We read Akdamos, and then we go into the Torah reading of the Ten Commandments. But certainly it's a age-old practice, and we have the importance of hearing the Ten Commandments, and we stand for the Ten Commandments, and we should recognize the beauty of the Torah that we've had the privilege of receiving. And on this holiday, we are reenacting and celebrating the giving of and receiving of the Torah. Thank you again for listening. I will see you again here next time. I hope you have a great day.